Yemisi sold all she had to send her only brother to university. Years later, barefoot and starving, she knocks on his mansion gate. But when he sees her, he says three chilling words: "I don't know you." This unforgettable African folktale will pierce your heart and remind you of a lesson passed down through generations. Not all success stories end with gratitude. Watch till the end. The twist will leave you speechless. Like this video, subscribe for more untold African stories, and share this with someone who values sacrifice and family.
The security man glanced through the tall iron gate, then wrinkled his nose in disgust. "You again," he barked. "I told you yesterday, this is not a charity house. Go." But Yemisi didn't move. Her feet were cracked and dusty, her wrapper threadbare, and her hands trembling as she gripped the rusting gate. "Please," she whispered. Tell Colonel his sister is here. Just 5 minutes. That's all I ask." The guard scoffed. "Madam, you said that yesterday. The Oga say he no know any Yemisi. Leave before I call police." Behind him, through the wide courtyard, a sleek black SUV glided across white marble tiles. Inside the mansion, laughter echoed Colonel's laugh. It was unmistakable. Yemisi's heart ached. Years ago, she had sold everything: her shop, her mother's land, and even her late father's radio to send Colonel to university. She had starved while he studied. Every night, she prayed for his success. And now that success had erased her from his memory. She sank slowly to the ground beside the gate, watching the fountain bubble in the middle of his compound like a mockery of her thirst. Her stomach rumbled, but the pain was dull now, like something that had become part of her. "Tell him I raised him," she whispered again, more to herself than anyone else. "Tell him I gave him everything." From an upstairs window, Colonel peered through half-drawn blinds. He saw the woman, the cracked feet, the sunken cheeks, and turned away. Long before there was a mansion, Yemisi and Colonel lived in a cramped, one-room mud house in Agowaiwoi. Their father died early, and their mother followed not long after, worn down by sickness and sorrow. At just 19, Yemisi became both sister and mother, working 2 jobs and running a roadside akara stall just to keep Colonel in school. Colonel had always been clever. Teachers called him the light of his generation. But light doesn't shine without oil, and Yemisi was the oil. She pawned her wedding beads, skipped meals, and sewed clothes for others deep into the night, her fingers bleeding from broken needles. People warned her, "This boy you're suffering for, he'll forget you." But she would laugh. "Not Colonel. He has a good heart." When he gained admission into the university in Ibadan, it was Yemisi who packed his bag, hugging him tightly, pressing a brown envelope of Naira notes into his palm. "Don't look back, my dear," she said. "Just succeed." And he did. First class. Scholarship. Canada. Now, a mansion in Lekki. Back at the gate, Yemisi's eyes blurred with exhaustion. She had walked 2 hours to get here, barefoot. Her sandals had given up days ago. A neighbor's boy said he saw Colonel on TV. That was how she found him, Googling his name at a cafe. "Ma, I beg, get up," the guard said now, less harsh, more tired. "This no be village. People go start to notice." Yemisi rose slowly, her bones creaking. She looked once more at the house. The boy she raised lived in there, but the man inside was a stranger. She turned and walked away, not knowing where she'd sleep tonight. Yemisi slept on a bench that night, under a leaking roof near a buka in Oberland. The owner, Mama Bintu, frowned when she saw her in the morning. "You again? You go scare my customers away. I'll be gone before they come," Yemisi said softly, her voice hoarse from the night air. She cupped her hands and drank from a nearby tap, splashing water on her face. Her reflection in the puddle shocked her sunken eyes, skin dry like a peeled yam left in harmattan, and a long scar running down her left arm from when she sliced it cutting firewood years ago. Colonel used to cry whenever he saw it. He once said, "When I'm rich, I'll make sure you never work again." She smiled bitterly. He had kept his promise. She wasn't working, but she was also starving. Later that day, Yemisi returned to the mansion. Not to beg, just to see. Maybe to remember that her sacrifices weren't in vain. But this time, she brought something, an old photograph. Faded and folded, it showed her holding a small, grinning Colonel at his primary school graduation. The same guard spotted her and began walking over, irritation on his face. But a sleek car pulled into the driveway, and a young woman stepped out, tall, elegant, designer bag swinging from her arm. Cunnell's wife. Yemisi's heart beat faster. She stepped forward. Please, tell him his sister is here. Tell him Yemisi is at the gate. The woman paused, squinting. Then she wrinkled her nose. Sister? Cunnell has no sister. He's an only child. Yemisi's mouth went dry. Her fingers tightened on the photograph. Please, she said, voice cracking. Just tell him. But the woman turned and walked inside. The guard followed, muttering, she don't come again. Yemisi remained, holding the photo like it was her last proof that she ever mattered. 2 days later, Yemisi sat at a newspaper stand with other bystanders, watching a small TV hung from a corner shop wall. The power had flickered on, and the crowd leaned in. The NTA presenter's voice rang out. Up next, we speak with Cunnell Alade, Nigeria's youngest real estate mogul, now building luxury estates in Ghana, Dubai, and London. Yemisi's breath caught in her throat. The camera cut to Cunnell, seated confidently in a navy blue suit. The years had been good to him, his skin smooth, teeth white, voice polished with foreign twang. But the eyes were the same. Her brother's eyes. The presenter smiled. Cunnell, many people are fascinated by your rise. Rumor has it you came from very humble beginnings. Cunnell chuckled lightly. Well, yes, but I was raised in an orphanage after losing both parents young. Everything I have now came through hard work and God's grace. Yemisi gasped. Orphanage. The people around her clapped and admired him. See, fine boy. So humble. One woman exclaimed. But Yemisi's fingers trembled as she pointed at the screen. He's lying. I raised him. Me, Yemisi. I gave up my life for him. A man beside her frowned. Madam, I beg no spoil our enjoyment. She stumbled back, the words echoing in her head. Orphanage. Hard work. God's grace. There was no mention of her. No mention of the acrostalls, the loan she begged for, the land she sold. As the crowd dispersed, the owner of the shop, a kind man named Chike, approached her. You know him? He asked. Tears pooled in her eyes. I raised him. I gave him everything. And now he's erased me. Chike looked at her long and hard. Then maybe, madam, it's time the world heard your story too. The next morning, Yemisi returned to Chike's shop. He handed her a bottle of cold water and a piece of bread, then dialed a number on his small phone. You go talk to someone today, he said. I called my cousin. She's a reporter. Works for a blog that likes true life stories. Yemisi hesitated. I'm not trying to disgrace him, she whispered. I just want him to remember me. To look me in the eyes and say I mattered. An hour later, the reporter arrived. Her name was Sade, a young woman with natural hair and bold lipstick. She greeted Yemisi warmly and brought out a small recorder. You're the sister of Cunnell Alade? She asked. I'm more than that, Yemisi said. I was his mother, his protector, his everything. She began to speak. Slowly at first, but with each word, her voice grew stronger. She told of the hunger, the night she patched his torn trousers by lantern light, the time she fought off a gang of boys who tried to bully him on his way from school. She showed Saad the old photograph, the one of Cunnell in his graduation robe. He was smiling that day because I borrowed money I didn't have just to buy him new sandals. Sade listened, her eyes moist. You gave up your life for him, she said quietly. I did, Yemisi replied. And now, I sleep on benches while he dines with senators. By the time they finished, Sade nodded firmly. Your story deserves to be heard. And if you won't open the gate, maybe the world will knock for you. That evening, Sade posted the article. Forgotten Sister, the woman behind Cunnell Alade's rise. It didn't take long for the story to catch fire. By noon the next day, Shady Eye's blog post had gone viral. Hashtag Yemisi the Forgotten Sister trended on Twitter. The story was shared by celebrities, activists, and even pastors. Photos of Yemisi's cracked feet and the worn photograph of little Cunnell sparked outrage. Bloggers dug deeper, unearthing school records and neighbors who confirmed her claims. One video clip showed an old woman from a Gowaiwoy saying that girl sold her blood to pay for that boy's first school uniform. In every market and on every phone, people were asking, how can a man forget the woman who gave him life? But in the heart of Lekki, behind polished gates and tinted glass, Colonel Alade's world was shaking. His PR manager stormed into his office. Colonel, you have to respond. This is bad for business. Investors are calling. They want to know why the man who claims to build homes of dignity is being accused of abandoning his own sister. Colonel's face was stone. Tell them it's all lies. I don't know that woman. But the photograph, it proves nothing. He snapped. Anyone can fake a story these days. At the gate, reporters began to gather. Colonel, is it true you were raised by Yemisi Alade? Do you have a sister living on the streets? Colonel called his wife. You told me she came again. Why didn't you call security? His wife's voice was cold. I thought you said she was dead. As he ended the call, Colonel walked to the window. Outside, beyond the walls, the world was no longer clapping for him. They were asking questions. Loud ones. And somewhere in a corner of Lagos, Yemisi sat quietly beside Chaik's shop, watching a stranger approach her with food and tears in her eyes. I read your story, the stranger said. You are the reason my children still believe in love. 3 days after the story broke, Yemisi sat beneath a mango tree near Chaik's shop, her back resting against the trunk. For the first time in years, people were treating her with kindness. A woman had dropped off slippers and a wrapper. A group of university students had come by just to hug her. Still, none of that filled the hole Colonel had left in her heart. Chaik walked up holding an envelope. Courier just dropped this for you. From a law firm. Yemisi frowned. Law firm? Why? She opened it slowly, heart pounding. Inside was a neatly typed letter on Colonel Alade's official letterhead. Dear Yemisi, I saw the article. I read every word. I wanted to throw it away, to deny it all. But the truth has a loud voice. You raised me. You protected me. You gave up everything so I could fly. I don't know when shame turned into pride and pride into silence. I erased you to protect an image. But in doing that, I erased my soul. I'm sorry, Yemisi. Please come home. Let me make things right. With guilt and hope. Colonel. Yemisi read it twice. Then a third time. Her fingers trembled, not with joy, but with something deeper. A wound reopening. He remembers, she whispered. He finally remembers. But Chaik remained silent. That evening, a car arrived, sleek, black, and official. A young man stepped out and bowed. Madam Yemisi, I'm here to take you to your brother. The crowd gathered around her, urging her to go. But she hesitated, heart heavy with memories. Did she still want the gate to open? She stood slowly, holding the old photograph in one hand. I'll go, she said at last. Not for the money, not for the fame, but for the little boy who once called me Mummy Yemisi. I want to know if he's still in there. The black SUV rolled through the streets of Lagos, silent and smooth. Yemisi sat quietly in the back seat, wearing the new wrapper someone had gifted her and the slippers with the red straps. The driver glanced at her through the rearview mirror. You okay, Ma? She nodded, but her mind was far away. Back to the small room in Abeokuta, where she'd once patched Colonel's school shirt with old lace, where he used to sleep curled at her feet. Now, she was entering his world, a world paved with money, cameras, and marble. The car stopped before a massive white mansion, gates stretching like arms of a giant. Security men stood stiffly, bowing as she stepped out. One of them opened the front door, and the cool scent of lemon and leather washed over her. There, at the top of the stairs, stood Colonel. His face was clean-shaven, his white kaftan spotless. But there was something strange in his eyes, something heavy and unsure. He walked down slowly. Yemisi, he said. No title, no fanfare. Just her name. She didn't move. You remember now? I never forgot, he replied. I only hid it. I was afraid that if people saw where I came from, they wouldn't respect me. Yemisi's lips trembled. So, you threw me away like trash? I was wrong, Colonel whispered. So very wrong. There was a long silence. The marble floor between them felt like a cliff. Do you want me to forgive you? She asked. No, he said. I want to earn it. Yemisi looked around. She saw the chandeliers, the golden furniture, the staircase that looked like something from a palace. But all she said was, then start by calling me what you used to. Colonel's eyes filled with tears. Mummy Yemisi, he whispered. And for the first time in years, she smiled. For the next few days, Cunnel did everything to make up for lost time. He moved Yemisi into the guest room, though it was bigger than any room she'd ever slept in. He hired a personal doctor to examine her, replaced her threadbare clothes with the finest fabrics, and instructed the chef to make her favorite meals, including the yam porridge she used to cook for him. But Yemisi remained quiet, watchful. "This is not about clothes or food," she said one morning. "You're trying to clean your conscience, not mend your soul." Cunnel was taken aback. "What do you mean? You still walk like a rich man who never knew hunger. You apologize with things, but not with your heart." Later that week, a call came from Saad, the journalist. She wanted to do a follow-up story. "Let them come," Yemisi said. "Let the world know that forgiveness is not instant. It's a journey." During the interview, Saad asked Yemisi, "What would make you truly forgive him?" Yemisi glanced at Cunnel. "Let him go back with me. To Abeokuta. To the small compound where our mother died. Let him look those neighbors in the eye and admit what he became." Cunnel's jaw clenched. "You want me to go back there? With reporters watching?" Yemisi nodded. "It's easy to give me luxury in secret, but can you honor me in public, in the place you buried me?" The room fell silent. That night, Cunnel walked through his house alone. He stood before an old photo he'd hidden in his closet, a younger him in a torn uniform, holding Yemisi's hand. He knew what he had to do. He called his assistant. "Clear my weekend. We're going home." The news spread like wildfire. Billionaire builder returns to his roots with forgotten sister. Cameras lined the narrow street in Abeokuta as Cunnel's convoy rolled in. But he stepped out alone, dressed simply in jeans and a native shirt. No bodyguards. No designer glasses. Just a man walking back into the truth. Yemisi followed behind, her face calm but unreadable. They walked past familiar faces: Mama Rock, who used to sell groundnuts; Baba Kazim, the man who gave young Cunnel his first radio. Whispers filled the air like smoke. No one clapped. No one rushed forward. Then, a small boy asked, "Is that really him?" An old man answered, "That's the boy Yemisi raised with her blood." Cunnel stood before the rusted gate of the house he once called home. He turned to the reporters. "This is where I learned to dream. And this," he pointed at Yemisi, "is the woman who gave up her own dreams so I could fly." He faced the crowd, voice trembling. "I erased her from my life. I was ashamed of poverty, but I should have been ashamed of my pride." Silence. Then, Mama Ronk stepped forward. "And now," Cunnel knelt in the dirt. "Now, I want the world to know her name." Yemisi allayed. "My sister. My savior. My second mother." Yemisi's eyes brimmed with tears. For years, she had waited, not for wealth, but for this moment of truth. The crowd clapped. A few wept. Reporters snapped photos, not of a billionaire, but of a man and the woman who made him. Back in Lagos, Cunnel announced a scholarship fund in her name. The Yemisi Alade Foundation for Forgotten Sisters. But in her heart, Yemisi needed no mansion, no spotlight. She had her name back. She had her brother back. And that was enough.